What we're looking at today are some illustrations I made of what's called Afterimage Phosphenes. Now, there's a whole section in my magazine, Exoterica, dedicated to this, but I wanted to spend some time talking about it. These are a unique kind of phosphene, different from the ones that are internally generated that I've talked about before. So different from visual snow, different from entoptic phenomena, different from hypnagogic and hypnopompic imagery, and still different from meditative light visions. These are formed by looking into a light bulb for about 15 to 20 seconds, or the sun for about 1 to 2 seconds. For a light bulb, you'd ideally want something that's around 80 watts and emits white light. And you'd also want to make sure you're not wearing any glasses or contacts because you don't want the light to magnify and burn your retina. Other than staying hydrated and breathing, there's no harm to the eyes, and it's actually very good to have this sort of light stimulation on it. So you stare into the light source, you then turn off the light, close your eyes, or cover your eyes in some way because you just want to block out any background light. Now, if you do cover your eyes with your hands, you don't want to press on your eyeball and you don't want to block your breathing. If you've done it right, you'll see this sort of orb of light, and this can take on many different forms and colors, and these are static images, but in reality it's going to be moving, it's going to be coalescing, there's going to be orbs emerging out of other orbs. You may see stuff that looks like planets with rings or black holes or one object orbiting another. You may see them eclipse each other. They're going to be shimmering and moving and coalescing, and they're going to be disintegrating and reforming. The afterimage phosphene is going to last about 3 minutes, and staring for longer periods of time isn't going to make them better or isn't going to make them last longer. It's also important to blink when you're staring at the light source. Just make sure you keep your eyes still so that you don't disrupt the formation of the phosphene. But you do want to keep your eye hydrated and cooled off, which is what blinking does. Now, you can create these afterimage phosphines just to look at them. They are cool in and of themselves to look at, but there is a practical reason for doing this. To understand what you can actually do with afterimage phosphines, we need to know how seeing and how vision works. The way that vision works is that photons enter your eye and they get converted into these electrical signals. Those electrical signals get moved into your visual cortex and other processing areas so that you can have some sort of conception of what you're seeing, and it rebuilds the image. Visual perception doesn't actually take place in your eyes, and neither does it take place in your visual cortex. Those are just the input sensory organ and the processing output that allows you to actually have a conscious perception of something. So photons go into your eye, are converted to electrical signals. These are processed and decoded and then emitted as a biophoton. And that projection of the biophoton is your conscious perception of seeing. The afterimage phosphene is this sort of blank slate. It's an efflorescent orb that you can apply whatever kind of mental coding you want to into it. What the afterimage phosphene is this sort of raw, unrefined ore of light, and you can use it to enhance any sort of mental activity. You're applying or increasing mental energy by mixing the afterimage phosphene with any kind of imagination, thought, memory, lesson you've learned, skill you're integrating. It's the way that the brain works is that it takes electrical signals it gets from your different sensory organs, and it converts those into biophotons, and then it projects those as your conscious perception. This is pure potential biophotonic energy. You apply what you want to learn or to think about or to develop to the afterimage phosphene that you're looking at when you have it stained into your retina and you close your eyes. Light is what powers your nervous system. It's what fuels your brain. And this sort of alchemical process of taking pure light energy and turning it into whatever mental energy you want, it's not only going to enhance your memory and increase the vividness of your thoughts and dreams, it's also important for getting your brain and eyes the right kind of stimulus to help activate certain parts of it that we kind of neglect. This practice goes way back, and you can find it in almost every single tradition and culture in the world. What the Taoists would do was look at the setting or rising sun stare at it so that they could create an afterimage phosphene, and then they would go to something like a cave or a dark room and meditate on it. You can increase this phosphene mixing, this alchemical light energy into mental energy further by adding some kind of synchronous or rhythmic movement, so like swaying or slowly spinning or dancing or rocking, while you have this afterimage phosphene in your visual system. And this is going to help to synchronize your brain so that your whole nervous system is now working to encode this light information into whatever mental energy you're using it for. So about 15 minutes of looking into a light bulb or 1 to 2 seconds of looking at the sun, you close your eyes and shield it from any background light or go into a dark room, and you have about 3 minutes of seeing these efflorescent, phosphorescent images. You can apply whatever kind of mental thought that you want to it, and it'll last for about 3 minutes, and then you can do it again, usually around 3 sessions, which is about 10 minutes, and you can do that multiple times throughout the day if you want. All of these different afterimage phosphines are explained, as well as an explanation for just the entire process. But this one right here, number 11, is what we can call the perfect afterimage phosphene. This is the sort of ideal one to mix the light into mental energy, because it's kind of the well-formed, it has the full sort of spectrum of visible light. If you're thinking of these different phosphines as the unrefined light energy that can be converted to mental energy, the perfect phosphene is the sort of highest quality of this raw material, just as a way to sort of imagine it. That one will usually start to fade into this sort of half circle-ish, almost fetus-looking afterimage phosphene when it's about to be used up, when it's about finished. But even just making any afterimage phosphene, you'll notice a lot of unique properties to consciousness, to vision, that you don't normally see unless you're kind of looking into the very raw material of light and vision. And I've talked about this before, but you'll see that light is a projection of this photonic energy that's processed in the brain, encoded with information, and then it's projected and decoded into your conscious perception. You'll notice if you do some swaying while you're looking at the afterimage phosphene, it's not moving with your eyes, it's not moving with your brain, but it's moving with the fluid in your body. Because the fluid in your body is where you're projecting this light energy onto. You can combine all kinds of different meditative practices with afterimage phosphines, like Wim Hof breathing may give you other trippy visuals along with it, or may change the way that the phosphene develops. The sort of cinema of seeing these light shows can be influenced by many different factors with many different light sources and many different ways of applying your mental energy to the phosphene. There's a lot more to talk about with this specifically that I don't have time to cover in one video, but I just wanted to sort of introduce the concept of the afterimage phosphines and what you do with the phosphines and kind of what they may look like, which is just several stills of potentially what they could be. They could literally look, you'll see hundreds of other ones that no one else has ever seen before. It's pretty incredible to look like. I think everyone should try this at least once or twice just to see. It's almost as if you're looking at the birth and death and movement of these different celestial orbs, these different elixirs of light energy. I'll of course make more videos on this in the future. It's also available, you can read the whole section in my magazine Exoterica, but that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.